first thought that comes in your mind when I tell you that my topic for the day is the hues of sound? Maybe something that's related to poetry or fiction. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to discuss about science. So let me ask a question to you all. Do you think that it is possible to visualize something auditory as sound? Can you see the hues of sound? Surprisingly, the answer to this question is yes. There are people who are able to visualize sounds. And not just that, there are people who are able to taste words, and there are people who are able to see colors for different words, which are usually appearing in a monogram manner. And all of this is not voodoo magic. This is science. Let me introduce you all to the fascinating phenomenon of synesthesia. Let's start off by dissecting the word synesthesia. So what does the word synesthesia mean? Sen means the blending and esthesia means senses. Synesthesia means the blending of senses, and that is the easiest way to describe what synesthesia is. And to be a bit more elaborative, I'll have to say that it's a neurological phenomenon in which the stimulation of one sensory or cognitive pathway leads to involuntary experiences in another pathway. So I'll say an example. Imagine you are hearing your favorite music. What happens there? Auditory stimuli are received and auditory responses are being generated from your auditory cortex. Imagine visual responses are being generated as well. Then what happens? Then what happens is that you are able to see sound, and that is what happens in a synesthete's mind. And not just that, imagine you are hearing some sort of linguistic stimuli, or you are reading a word, and as a result, imagine you are tasting taste. That is when responses are being generated related to taste as well. And this blending of senses, this is what synesthesia is. Let's see the mechanism of synesthesia. These people who have synesthesia, they have increased neural connection in their frontal brain area, like the motor cortex, visual cortex and auditory cortex. And this is what leads to the blending of sensory experiences. There are certain very interesting facts about synesthesia, like most of them are born with synesthesia. And there's a theory that all of us, when we were infants, we all possessed synesthesia. But now that we are older, we don't have it. But we cannot confirm whether this is true or not because we don't have any memory of sensory experience from our infancy. Now, let's talk about how synesthesia is hereditary. There's actually a scientific proof that in our chromosome 16, there's a gene that causes grapheme color synesthesia. Yet, it is yet to be known how this gene is responsible for creating this in a hereditary manner. Now, let's talk about developmental synesthesia. Imagine being born with synesthesia, but now that you're old, you don't remember you having such experiences now. You remember all your childhood and your teen age with such an experience, but you're no longer experiencing it. This situation or being born without synesthesia, now you suddenly have the ability. Both of these situations are together known as developmental synesthesia. Now let's talk about acquired synesthesia. Acquired synesthesia is kind of sort of like a developmental synesthesia, and some people, they gain the ability of synesthesia after a stroke or a brain injury, etc. This is known as acquired synesthesia. There's been an actually a very interesting experience. I did this presentation in Malayalam and I met an uncle who had acquired synesthesia. He had gotten a surgery, and after the surgery, it was in his mouth, okay, because of some sort of injury or something like that. Now, when he tastes food, he is experiencing tactile stimuli. He is eating something that is tasty or sweet or sour, and as a result his skin is being sweaty or a burning sensation is being aroused from his skin, and this is acquired synesthesia. Now let's see the different types of synesthesia. I've told you this can come in different ways. It is the blending of senses. It can come in numerous combinations. There are more than 18 types of discovered synesthesias, and there are still different types of synesthesias that are yet to be discovered. The main and the most important type of it is grapheme color synesthesia, chromesthesia, lexical gustatory, mirror touch synesthesia, spatial sequence and time space. One more interesting thing, when I was performing the same presentation in Malayalam, I have also met a chromesthete, and he is what inspired me to give this presentation the name The Hues of Sound, because he can see the hues of sound. Now let's talk about grapheme color synesthesia. This is the most common type of synesthesia. This is when we associate a letter or a number with a specific color. And this is completely involuntary. You don't sit in a room and be like, the letter A has the color red. That's what suits the letter. So let me give that letter this color. It doesn't happen like that. It is completely involuntary. Even you don't know why you associate that letter or that number with that color. And now you can see two charts, and these charts are known as graphemes. Each grapheme color synesthetes, they have a chart in their mind of every letters and every numbers in the color that they see it in. And this is known as the graphemes of that grapheme color synesthetes. And it is unique from person to person. So when it was discovered that this was hereditary, everybody raised voice saying that the parents are teaching the children synesthesia. They are telling their children that the letter A has the color red and the letter B has the color green. It doesn't happen like that. Because maybe for the child, the letter A has the color blue and the mother, the letter A has the color red. Thus, graphemes are unique from person to person. But if you put a bunch of grapheme color synesthetes in a room and ask them to decide whether the letter S, which color does this letter possess, the majority is going to agree on one color, and this has to do with the shape of that letter. Now is chromesthesia. Chromesthesia is what inspired me to give this presentation the name, the hues of sound. And it is when auditory stimuli trigger visual sensations of colors. So imagine hearing your favorite kind of song or music, then you are seeing images like visuals of graphs or like waves or like a lattice of different colors. It is unique from person to person. You can see a picture. It's a very beautiful drawing. It is a painting by Melissa McCracken, and its name is Julia. And it's a painting of a very beautiful ambient music. And she also paints the voice of people. If you go to her and talk to her, she will customize and paint you a picture of your voice. Now let's talk about lexical gustatory synesthesia. This is very, very, very interesting because this is when you taste words. Imagine hearing a linguistic stimuli like pen or pencil or something like that. You are tasting sweetness, bitterness, sourness. And these words doesn't have to do anything with food. So, this is when somebody talks to some other person, you are making a new friend, and when you hear that person's name and suddenly bitterness appear to you, and then as a result you just start to hate that person and stuff like that, which we will further discuss. Now, it is mirror touch synesthesia. Mirror touch synesthesia, it has been depicted in Hollywood a lot of times, and it has been exaggerated so much. And it's this neurological condition in which individuals experience physical sensation on their body when they see someone else being touched or experiencing tactile stimuli. So imagine your friend getting slapped or getting kicked on their guts, and you are visualizing this and you are experiencing that pain on your cheek or on your gut. This is mirror touch synesthesia. And now I'm talking about the exaggeration of that in media. You see pictures or movies where there are people who have mirror touch synesthesia. They see a man having a heart attack, and as a result they are having heart attack too. That it doesn't go to that extent. It has to be a tactile stimuli, and it is not just a person to person kind of thing. So they were put in a room as a part of an experiment, and they were shown a picture, and it was a picture of a man, a very long man, and it's kind of like it's like an illusion. The man is constantly growing. He's just not stopping the growth, and as a result they feel like they are being elongated too. So now let's talk about spatial sequence and time space. A quick disclaimer, because both of these are kind of similar, because when I search about one, I get the other one. When I search about the other one, I get this one. And I used to get so mad. But yeah, I have finally understood the difference between them. This is when somebody associates numerical sequence or literally anything in the sequential form as they are seeing it in 3 dimension. They are seeing it in the space, like it is literally tangible. But they know that it doesn't exist there. In all these cases, they know that this is not true, this is not the reality, and this is what differentiates this from a psychological disorder. That's why this is a neurological disorder. And it's also related to brain. And now let's talk about how they see these sequences. It is in different shapes, but one common form to see this is as a ring surrounding you, and it's usually months, because months have a sequential manner, right? This is the same thing that happens with time space. Time-space synesthesia, this is when you relate the units of time with spatial arrangement. You see the units of time spatially, maybe as ladders, maybe as a ring around you, and months, they are a unit of time. So people with time-space synesthesia also see a ring of months around them. But it doesn't have to be in sequential manner. And spatial sequence is related to sequential manner of things, and time-space is related to time units. And that is the difference between both of them. Now let's talk about limitations and benefits of these people. There's always a mind versus reality game going on. Though they know that this is not the reality, if somebody with grapheme color synesthesia who believes that the color red is what the letter A has, they are shown letter A in a different color like blue or some sort of neon striking color. As a result, they will get so frustrated, they will get so angry, and they know that this is completely uncalled for, yet they experience that. And they have a lot of troublesome in maths. So imagine you are doing addition, like 2 plus 3. 2 plus 3 is 5, right? And the color of the number 2 is something like green. And the color of the number 3 is yellow. So green plus yellow, it forms a sort of olive green. So the number 7 has olive green color. So they will automatically say that 2 plus 3 is olive green, aka 7. So this is how they get troubled in maths. After that they realize, oh, this is stupidity. Yet they have that sort of dilemma going on. Now let's talk about their troublesome in socializing. Anybody that is somewhat different from our society, they often get isolated in our society. And these people, like I've told you about lexical gustatory synesthesia, you are making a new friend, you are hearing their name, you are tasting that name, and you are vomiting in front of that friend. That is the biggest awkward moment you can ever face, and you will never meet that person in your entire life. And thus they are being isolated. Or imagine talking to your friend and being like, I taste words, or I see music. They would think that you're paranoid or you're crazy. And there's a lot of misconceptions about synesthesia. When it was being discovered, people didn't knew about synesthesia, even professionals. So they will tell these synesthetes that they have psychosis or schizophrenia, and then they will give the tablets of psychosis or schizophrenia. And these antipsychotics, they have a lot of side effects. If you have the illness, obviously you have to take those pills because that is what you need. But if you don't have the illness, why take the pills? And these people are being forced to take the pills because they don't know what's going on with them. And that's why I chose this topic, because I want everybody to know that such a thing exists. Next of all, let's talk about benefits of synesthesia. The memory and cognition. People don't need to remember numbers or letters of words or phone numbers. They can just remember as a spectrum of colors. That is far more easier than remembering letters or numbers which are so complex. So they can easily memorize a lot of data. There is creativity and artistic expression. Like I've showed you the Melissa McCracken's painting, and that's so beautiful and artistic, right? Now let's talk about pitch perfect. People with chromesthesia, they will see a similar image, a similar shape or a similar color when they hear sounds of similar frequency. And this will automatically give them an ability to identify pitches in same frequency, and they don't need to know anything about music to have this. And there's a lot of therapeutic applications that comes with it, because once you understand how they can memorize a lot of things, and then you can provide a lot of therapeutic applications to things like where we are facing illnesses which have memory loss as a result. Now let's talk about renowned personalities with synesthesia. Marilyn Monroe. She is the queen of Hollywood. She had grapheme color synesthesia. Next of all, Melissa McCracken. She is an artist who draws sounds, and she had chromesthesia. Hans Zimmer, he's a musician, and he also has this pitch perfect thing that I said. And Daniel Tomat, he actually won some sort of prize for memorizing 22,514 digits of pi, all because he had grapheme color synesthesia. Let's summarize everything that we just went through. It is what synesthesia is, mechanism of synesthesia, developmental synesthesia and acquired synesthesia, and most common types of synesthesia, limitations, benefits and personalities with synesthesia. We can conclude a bunch of things like synesthesia challenges the models of how we perceive. We always had this feeling that our brains are all alike. And it's not like that. The way our brain perceives information is unique from person to person. We all are humans and we all live in the earth, in the same world. Yet the world that we see is entirely different from person to person. And it inspired artistic creation, scientific research, and it deepened our understanding of how human mind processes information. And I have to say one more thing. Disorders like synesthesias, they are not disorders, they are extra orders, and it's not a disability, it's a different ability. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.